Top of the morning, Grand Rise, Assalamu Alaikum. For those that's fasting, Ramadan Mubarak. We almost done. We did it. You know, I do a couple days because of my travels and my sickness, so I'll make those days up. But anyway, we on part 19, family. I hope you enjoy part 18. And if you're just tuning in, you can always catch up on the series by going to my channel and watching part 1 all the way up until where we at now. It's very interesting. Just sharing my prison journey, leading right up to my spiritual journey, and then we're gonna take a little shift on the channel. Not nothing crazy, not nothing big, but I got some other things that I want to add to the channel. But we on part 19. The last part we left off, I was in Oklahoma City, the transfer centers, the federal facility that houses federal inmates that are transferring to other facilities. That's further. Whether you're going to the West Coast, the East Coast, the Midwest, you may have to stop here, sit for a couple days, maybe even a week, maybe even 2 weeks. I done seen where people have been there for a month, maybe even longer. I'm not sure, but nonetheless, this is where you're gonna see people in and out. You may see a person, you're chopping it up with every day, and then a day or two later, they're not there anymore. So this is just a in and out kind of thing. So, as I said before, I'm kind of building a little small relationship, not nothing big, with the guy from DC. I can't even quite remember his name, and that's it's kind of sad, but we was vibing a little bit. We used to sit out there and watch the AMC movies, eat, and just chop it up about the journey, the prison journey, right? He was a gang member. He was blood, as I said before. That was strange for me because I've never heard of Washington D.C. having gangs there. He said, yeah, they got gangs. Certain parts of uptown section of Washington D.C. He said there's some gangs there and stuff. I said, wow, okay. You learn something every day. So we chopping it up. We bond, and we And he said, one of my friends that, we talking about around my way, and I started naming certain guys. He's like, oh, man, I know him, man. A guy from around my way that was blood too. So, I kind of reached out to a family member, got him on the phone, and then let them two talk. So that made the bond, get even more, a little stronger, So one morning, we out there, they gave our breakfast, we ate, and I'm just kind of like spinning laps in the unit, trying to get a little exercise in. And he's standing there just like with a face that you could tell something is bothering him. So I was like, what's up, man, you good? He's like, yeah, man, I'm just on, what I'm saying, I'm on what I'm on. So I'm like, okay, I get it, I'm just making sure you good, everything good. He said, yeah, I'm good. But I noticed that he's looking over by the phone. And my cellmate is over there. Mind you, my cellmate is a gang member also, but he's a Crip. Right? So you kind of get the point, right? This guy's a blood, this guy's a Crip. And at this time, you still had the Bloods and Crip thing, feud going on a little bit. At least for New York. I'm not sure California, but at least for East Coast, that still was kind of like going up. So I'm still not quite connecting it. I see him, he kind of just throwing up all these little gang signs. I'm not really sure what he's trying to say, but he's looking at them and he's just doing. And my cellmate is over there along with 2 other Crips. Now let me say this, family, mind you, Oklahoma is a place where nobody's getting into no fights or no arguments, because everybody's trying to get to their facility that they're going to, get their property, get dug in, make some calls, get commissary. So nobody's over there thinking about fighting. Everybody over there is friendly, cordial, we socializing, good morning, how you doing, man? This is a peaceful place because we just trying to get to our spot. We're not trying to get into nothing. This is not the place for that. So my cellmate and his guys are looking at him like, they smiling. He like, yeah, So now I start connecting the dots. I said, oh, let me try to intervene. And so I go over there. I say, DC, let me talk to you over here. I pull him, you know, away from him a little bit so I can kind of get in his ear, trying to, you know, diffuse whatever might happen, you know. So he kept saying, man, you know, man, I don't care wherever I'm at. It could be 1, 2, it don't matter. I'm still gonna rep mine. I said, okay, but what are you referencing? Like, what's going on? He said, nah, you know them. You see them? They over there standing, they looking at me. So I said, look, DC, look, those guys, they ain't on nothing. You know, they trying to get to their spot. They trying to, you know, get their property. You know, get a visit from their families, talk to their wives, their children. Nobody is over here on that. He said, yeah, but man, look, you don't understand because you're not a gang member. I said, I understand that, but I'm trying to show you that they not on that. So he kept going on and on and on. So they end up moving away from the area, you know, to kind of just diffuse the situation because it's really silly to me, you know. So we locking for count at 4 o'clock. Now me and my sonny's in there laughing. I'm like, what's going on? He said, he's like, man, what's up with your guy, man? I said, look, don't worry about it. I'm gonna talk to him. He said, man, look, we not even on that. You know, like California, you know, you do have those views, but it's not, man, I'm cool with Bloods and stuff. Like he tripping for no reason. I said, I know, I'm gonna talk to him. So, you know, I kind of pulled away from him because he kind of changed. You know, he wasn't the same guy that you know, I first met. You know, very respectful, you know, smiling all the time, just, you know, real upbeat, you know, kind of guy. So I kind of pulled back from him because, you know, he was just on a collision course. Now, mind you, he was transferring from another facility on a disciplinary transfer. Now, what is that? That means that the facility he was at, he got kicked out of that facility maybe for fighting or something like that. Well, he got kicked out for inciting a riot with the Bloods and the Mexicans. So you can kind of see his mentality. He just, you know, all the screws ain't all the way there. So, you know, he was getting transferred. I said, you know what, it's best for me to just kick back a little bit. Now, mind you, at the time, family, I'm still a little turned up. You know, I haven't changed my life. I'm still got that street mentality. So I can still go there with you. But however, I know where I'm at. I'm trying to get to my destination, man. To figure out where I'm at, like what's going on, you know, this culture. I'm just trying to get to where I'm supposed to go. I'm not trying to be getting into nothing right now. So, you know, I stayed there for about, I think, a little over a week, and they came to pick me up in the middle of the night. It was my birthday, June 29th, that they came and got me. I was like, wow, I'm going to my jail on my birthday. All right, cool. You know, we get there, the line, you know, you got to sit down in the receiver room for multiple hours because you got to wait for the plane to get ready, and, you know, they drink their coffee, donuts, whatever they, you know, so you're going to be down there for some hours waiting. So now you know, they loading us up on the plane, and as I can remember as clearly as I can, I know that we stopped in Phoenix, Arizona, I believe it was. I believe that's what it was. And it was piping hot. Now, I noticed that when we were landing the plane in Phoenix, Arizona, you know, the pilot, he was driving reckless. Now, you know, this ain't my first time flying on planes. I don't like flying on planes, but this is not my first time. And I know that this should be a smooth ride, you know, and as we're landing, you know, he kind of just like, I'm like, damn, this don't even feel right. Now, mind you, these planes that the federal government transports inmates on, these are not planes that they just go and purchase. These are planes that they confiscate from drug dealers that, you know, may have acquired planes through illegal means, and they, you know, they take it from them, and they start using them for their benefit. So as we're landing, you know, it wasn't a smooth landing. It was kind of like, boom. So everybody was like, man. So now we landing to grab some more inmates and bring them on a plane. But guess what? He landed so hard. You know, the board got knocked out. You know, I don't know what the name of the board that they read when they fly. He knocked it out, cracked it or whatever he did. So we sitting there for multiple hours, just sitting there, and then they made the announcement. They said, "All right, guys, look, we're gonna be switching to another plane." So I'm like, so the one marshal was like, "Yeah, the board is damaged. We're gonna be switching to another plane." So I'm like, "Okay, cool." She's like, "Yeah, but you guys are gonna be going back to Oklahoma." I'm like, and the reason being, he said, "Well, you know, we're not gonna make it to the next destination in time to do the swapping, so you guys will go back to Oklahoma and you'll catch the next plane going to California, which means another week or so." So I'm pissed now. Not only do I gotta go back to Oklahoma, I gotta go back and deal with this crash dummy that I was around, you know. Because even though I pulled back from my, you know, we still spoke and stuff like that, but man, so anyway, you know, we gonna stop part 19 here and we'll resume part 20 in the next one. Family, I hope you enjoyed it. Put something in the comment section, let me know what you think. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, I don't know why, you know, maybe there's a reason for that, and that's fine. But if you're not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe, hit the like button, also share. And I'm gonna leave you as I always do. Remember, your potential for greatness is truly unlimited.